let's see, what else? The Buccaneers brought their old creamsicles back, which honestly might be my favorite. It's like a so bad they're good. Plus, just who doesn't love orange creamsicle? It's like one of the coolest flavors out there. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Audible Sportscast. We got Cody and Jeff here today. And before we begin, just want to let you all know we are doing some fantasy football leagues this year. So make sure you're going to our social medias for that. Let us know if you're one in. It's going to be fun. It's our first time actually ever doing fantasy footballs. I mean, not our first time ever doing them, but first time kind of being the people who run them. So it's going to be fun. One of the leagues will be a buy-in, so if you're willing to, spend some money, do it. It's for a good cause, aka the people who might be the better of us, but it'll be fun. So if you want to know anything about that, social medias are always linked down below. But yeah, let's get, I guess, right into it. This past weekend was the Hall of Fame game. Football's finally back, kinda. It's preseason, so we saw almost zero players that will be starting week one play the game, but it's still fun to see, football being back. But even with the game, there was some issues with it. For anyone who watched the start of the fourth quarter, the lights were out for 15 minutes or so, I think it was. And then they said the same issue that the lights were out caused there not to be showers after the game, which, the Browns, their facilities are only an hour away, not even. But the Jets had to get on a couple-hour flight to get back, being all smelly. And this isn't the first time there's been issues with the Hall of Fame game back in 2016. The turf was not the turf, it's not a turf field. The grass was supposedly so prepared that they canceled the game practically an hour or two before it was supposed to start. And it's just not always been, best thing. The teams that are selected to go to the Hall of Fame game to play, they have to come to training camp early, I think a whole week, which, I'm sure players are so happy about that aren't even going to play in the game. Not. So, I don't know. Tried thinking of some ideas, what could the NFL do to maybe liven the Hall of Fame game up. Obviously, it's not something you want to get rid of to help, cherish these players that are getting inducted. I mean, that's kind of what the whole thing's supposed to be about, the celebration of these, greats being inducted. So what could the NFL do to help not only boost more teams to be willing to play? I don't know if they have to agree or not, but also for fan enjoyment, because not everyone obviously wants to see a preseason game where none of their favorite players are going to play. So, I mean, would it be worth doing something kind of like Pro Bowl games, flag football? What could the NFL even do? Obviously, they can't force starters to play.
I don't know. In my opinion, I think it needs to become – there needs to be a regular season game that's the Hall of Fame game. I don't know, make it a 4 o'clock game or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even a primetime game. I think that would be cool.
That would be cool. Make it kind of
more exciting game, and then be extended halftime or something like that.
Yeah, you could definitely, extend beginning, the start and halftime to because, you want to put as much shine on these players as possible. And I kind of get they're doing it before the season starts, because then it's a ramp up to the season. But at the same time, it just feels like it's missing something, because I don't know. It seems like there's a lot that could be fixed. And that is a pretty good idea, because then you have fans more wanting to watch it, because it's an actual game. It's a primetime game, so more people are going to be attracted to it. So I think that'd be a good idea. Considering it's in Ohio, I think maybe earlier than later, so it's not a snow game, weather game.
Which I get why they do it, the way they do it now, like beginning of season, because it's just a way to kick off the season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's a boring game because it's third strings,
yeah.
third strings, and a few second strings thrown in there. So
Yeah, you see, I mean, you saw some rookies that are probably going to start this year get some playing time just to, like, get them ready, welcome to the NFL type moments. But other than that, it's like, especially now with, like, there being 90-man rosters in training camp, like, most of these people not only won't be playing week one, but they might not be on a team week one. So it's tough. I mean, it's a chance for them to make the team and everything. And it's an extra game for them to, because this isn't like, this is an extra game for those two teams that no one else will get. So, I mean, that helps. It's nice for, these guys that are trying to make it to the NFL. But, I don't know. I just feel like there should be more emphasis to it. Because, it's like, well, it's about the Hall of Famers. The Hall of Fame game, putting more emphasis on the NFL, its greatness, its history. And it deserves more, I feel like. Not, these horrible conditions where, the lights went out. Like, how many? I mean, we've seen that in a Super Bowl, but still, like, you want more. I mean, plus you want more people to come to the games. No, not many. I mean, yeah, it's probably one of the most watched preseason games, like of like people coming. But you put a primetime game, and I know they probably could. I mean, it's not that big of a stadium, so they couldn't probably hold the capacity that they would want for a primetime game. But it'd still be better than what it is now. So I think that would be probably the best way to do it. Maybe make that the week one season opener instead of the way it is. Kind of so in the same way it's what it is now, just week one instead of preseason week one. I don't know.
I agree.
And it's not like the NFL doesn't have money to where they could make the stadium even better. I mean, it's a billion-dollar organization, so put a little bit of funds into Canton, Ohio. I don't know. That's just an idea. I doubt anything's gonna happen, but I mean, NFL takes some notes, I guess, if you're listening. But moving on to something we mentioned last week that we were going to talk about, Justin Herbert's contract. So it's always a big buzz when new quarterbacks get the contract because it's always about who's going to pass up who. And every year it's about, there's always the handful of guys that are going to be the next best, highest paid guys. This offseason, we've seen that change 3 different times now. And now with that, the newest one, Justin Herbert, he got paid just a couple weeks ago a new contract. 5 years, $262.5 million, $133.7 guaranteed, which brings the annual revenue up to the annual contract to $52.5 million, which is the most of any annual contract. Hurts got a 5 years, $255 also this offseason. Lamar Jackson, the day of the draft, if anyone remembers, got the 5 year, $260. So it's always, who's going to come up against who. And there's one player that still hasn't signed a new contract yet that is eligible for it. Of the QBs, high-paid QBs, Joe Herbert. I think we can both agree that Herbert should and probably will get paid more compared to the Herbert contract. But I feel like we might see something similar to the Mahomes, to where it's like extended into a longer kind of 10-year contract that's a lot more team friendly, but he still gets paid all the money he deserves. I don't know. What do you think?
You said Joe Herbert. I assume you mean Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is up. Joe Burrow hasn't been signed. Justin Herbert has been signed.
Yeah, I think Burrow is the most team friendly out of all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how Herbert is.
He seems like a nice
in
guy.
the past, I've said he still has a lot to prove. How much is that on his receivers? I don't know, but I feel like he's good enough to deal with what he has, and I think he needs to step up to the plate a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, and when you think about it too with Joe Burrow, there's a lot more people that need to get paid. It seems like everyone else for the Chargers has been paid. I mean, there's a couple guys like Austin Eckler, but we can talk about running backs later, pending time. But like when you think of the Chargers or the Bengals, Jamar Chase gonna be up for a new contract by next offseason. T. Higgins, this is last year of his deal, and those are two of some of the best wide receivers in the league. Joe Mixon has taken pay cuts. They've lost a couple of key defensive players now because of, expecting these offensive players. Jesse Bates had to walk. Von Bell had to walk. They re-signed Jermaine Pratt and recently Logan Wilson, both of their linebackers. Trey Hendrickson got paid, but soon enough, not everyone's going to be able to get fed. So, and obviously you're going to keep Joe Burrow because, supply and demand quarterback, you need a quarterback to win for the most part, 99 out of 100 times. So he's going to get paid. I just think in the best interest of the team, if they could find a way to make a deal similar to Patrick Mahomes, he's still, Patrick Mahomes for reminders, it was originally when he got it in the spring of 2020. It was a 10-year, $450 million contract with 45 annual. He's now not even he's barely a top 10 paid quarterback as it is because, every year, and he's okay with it. He's getting plenty of money elsewhere, but that 10-year contract, it's a commitment, from the team for him long-term, super long-term even. We haven't seen 10-year contracts in years. And, at the time, highest paid NFL contract ever. I think even North American contract. Baseball players aren't getting half a, $1 billion. But it just goes to show what can be possible because, yeah, he's, restructured it a couple times to help, make sure everyone still gets paid. I know Chris Jones right now with the Chiefs is someone who needs to get paid, or he feels he deserves to get paid. We don't have to get into that, but, it allows them to spread some money around. Yeah, they had to lose Tyreek Hill, but for the most part, they've brought in still a lot of resources since he signed that contract, which for the most part, when a QB signs a contract like that, they're losing a lot more than adding, and the Chiefs, for the most part, have added a lot more since that. But, I don't know. I think Joe Burrow, best situation, him to sign a long-term contract like that, if they can agree to similar things. I think he'll still become the highest paid quarterback in history. You say that with every new contract, but he deserves it. He's brought life to a franchise that has been mid for the longest time. Andy Dalton years, they were good, but they could never be great like they are now. So it'll be interesting to see when that comes around, especially now with him being hurt. He'll be fine for week 1. We can talk about him in a second, but
yeah, he said before that he's really not worried about it or anything. Mm-hmm. So that just shows it's a Tom Brady situation almost. It's a little different, but he still got paid very handsomely. So, but he took cuts just to be better.
But he was almost never the top paid quarterback.
Right.
But then again, they weren't being paid like they were today, which it's crazy to think about. I don't have the numbers, but the salary cap is roughly around, I think, $240 million. And if you think about that, some of these quarterbacks are being paid more than $50 million. They're being, that's a quarter of the salary cap each year. So, some of these guys aren't leaving much. And of course, those aren't the final numbers. Those, when you add in the guarantees, incentives, they aren't actually making that $50 million depending on how it is. So it's a slippery slope that we don't, as people not in the buildings, we don't have the proper numbers. They're all kind of estimate, which is fine. The NFL is the only league, North American, actually might be the only, professional sports league of the higher ups where not every contract, or for the most part, almost every contract is fully guaranteed. So there's a lot of different numbers that we don't 100% know. But still. Like, yeah, like you were saying, though, like Tom Brady, pay cuts, winning, you get playoff checks. Those winnings bring you endorsements. Like, Joe Burrow has already gotten plenty of endorsements. Like, look at Mahomes.
Yeah.
His face is everywhere. So he's getting lots of money other than just in the NFL. So I think...
Yeah, it's bigger than the contract money. The contract money. Once your team starts winning, you win a Super Bowl or two, it's just more revenue for the organization than you get paid.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and then you get the benefits of that.
And, like, yeah, these contracts they're getting are still, like, life-changing contracts, making generational wealth for, generations. But, yeah, like, adding on top of that with these other endorsements or in smart investing, which Tom Brady didn't 100% do with he had some money in the FTX, but we don't have to get into any of that. But it's just interesting that, obviously quarterbacks should be the highest paid because it's the most important position when you look at, I think the statistic I found is like the last 23 Super Bowls, only like 3 or 4 of them had Hall of Fame caliber, didn't have Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks. So it's like you need a guy to be at that position to win it. Obviously, it doesn't guarantee you win, but you need to keep your guy that you have no matter what. So it just has caused the salaries to become astronomical. So I don't know. We're going to see it every year. Next offseason, it'll be Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, maybe Justin Fields, maybe Davis Mills, definitely not. I'm just trying to think of quarterbacks that were taken in that draft class. Tua, too. I know he's 5th-year optioned, but he can, if he has a healthy year, balls out again this year, he'll be right there ready for another contract. So it'll be interesting what happens.
I think Miami's going to give him his money, really, no matter what.
Oh, yeah. They're in a win-it-now mode. We saw that with them trading for Jalen Ramsey, trading for Tyreek Hill, trading for Bradley Chubb at the trade deadline. Like, they want to win it now, and they're doing whatever they can to try to win it.
Yeah, I forgot Chubb. Was on that team.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, they traded I think the last pick they had left from the Laramie Tunsil trade they did with the Texans, because that trade turned into like 5 first-round picks or something like that for the Dolphins because of how they kept trading back with it, and the Texans weren't good with one of those picks they got, so they ended up getting Google it. It's worth the listen. It's one of the craziest trades, like when you look at, because not everyone looks at trades like, oh, this trade happened and they got this picks, but when you look at what those picks turn into, it's like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, like 4 other starters on that team. It's crazy what the Dolphins, how much they won with that trade. But speaking of trades, Aaron Rodgers traded to the New York Jets, and part of the issue with that was the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, they just couldn't see on the same foot for the last couple of years. They drafted Jordan Love to replace him. He won back-to-back MVPs. This year wasn't so good. He wanted out, and now he's with the Jets, and he took a pay cut. Originally, he was supposed to make $110 million guaranteed in 2 years. Now it's down to 2 years, $75 million. It's a $35 million pay cut. It's a lot more leeway in the Jets to make some moves. Obviously they already missed out on Odell, partially because of contract issues. But right now seems like they're the runner. The number 1 team to maybe get Dalvin Cook, as Breece Hall is still kind of recovering from injury. And there's still lots of other free agents they could go and get. They have a really great defense now. They could go and pick up someone still. There's a ton of veteran defensive players that could be on that team. Nice to add some depth. But I don't know. What do you think? Should they go? They've been tied to Dalvin Cook. I think that'd be really nice for them on that team.
Crap. blanking on his name. Who's their starting running back? Right? Brees Hall.
Yeah, Brees Hall. They have Michael Carter.
Yeah,
Brees Hall still, he's recovering from the injury he got last year. But I mean,
I think it'd be a smart move. Three. I mean, crap, you just said his name. Who's the number
Michael
two
Carter.
back right now? Yeah, he's not the. He's nothing stellar, but he's not the worst.
Yeah.
He's
Plus,
pretty reliable.
adding Dalvin Cook to that,
Mm,
who's, I mean, he's still playing a pretty high level. He had a really great year last year in Minnesota. Um,
yeah, their O line's only gotten better, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
they spent some draft picks, some assets on that, some injury recoveries. I mean, I know Dwayne Brown, who's like closer to 40 than 30 right now, is projected to be their starting left tackle. So you maybe want some insurance with that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I can go right now. Some guys that are still on the market, I think they could be in the mix for. Jadeveon Clowney could be a nice depth piece. On top of that defense, Ronald Darby, Carlos Dunlap, who would be a great veteran presence. If you want to look at another running back, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, um, Trey Flowers, a good defensive piece. Shelby Harris, Casey Hayward, if anything happens to any of those corners. Akeem Hicks, Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram, who had a really great bounce back year last year. Matt Ioannidis, John Johnson. Like, there's still plenty of great, defensive veterans out there who maybe aren't what they used to be, but they could still be a good veteran presence in the locker room. That's something a lot of people don't consider. They think, oh, he's a 75 overall in Madden. I need that, on their team. They think of it as like Madden. They don't think of the actual humanity in it. But I mean, they could go a lot of different ways. I know even Aaron Rodgers in an interview said, something might happen at the trade deadline. If someone becomes available, which someone always seems to. So that'd be interesting to see what happens there. Because if someone ends up being available like a Devontae Adams, if he isn't happy in, Vegas with the way things shake up, you're telling me Aaron Rodgers isn't gonna go right to the GM and be like, you get my best friend right now? Like, that could be interesting. I mean, him.
yeah. I don't think that'll happen, but
No, but I'm sure Aaron Rodgers probably, trying to make things happen to make sure that happens. Who knows? I mean, Raiders don't see. I don't see big things happening for the Raiders this year, but who knows? Jimmy G has done weird things in the past as a quarterback. So, but
he's gonna break both his feet this time.
I mean, yeah, he still is recovering from his foot injury, so it'll be, who knows? I mean, there's still, I mean, he'll probably start week 1, but they don't. It's weird. It's a mid-type, expectance, and in a division like that, I don't get it. I mean, to whatever they want to do, I'm just a 20-some-year-old in a basement. What do I know? But
They've done the same stuff for the last 20 years,
that is true.
almost 30.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been the best ran organization, that's for sure. I mean,
What's their biggest highlight in the last 20 years? The almost MVP season for Derek Carr.
Then didn't he break his leg? Right, he broke his leg and then didn't play
Yeah,
in the playoffs, and they lost to a Brock Osweiler led Texans team. That's the highlight of the rate. I mean, yeah, they went to the playoffs in, 2020, and then lost to the Bengals in a really close game. So that's, or not 2020, 2021, but a lot of different things. But something else I thought would be cool to talk about. Now that we're getting really close to the NFL season starting, there's been a lot of uniform changes this year, a lot more compared to a lot more. That's partially because of the new rule change where you can have multiple helmets. For the longest time, NFL teams were only allowed one helmet, so now they can wear multiple, and we're seeing a lot of the teams bring back old throwbacks they used to wear. So this offseason, 13 different teams did something to change up their uniforms, and I will list them off right now. The Cardinals had completely new jerseys they added. Eagles, they brought back the old throwbacks that they used to wear, the that's Kelly green with the eagle helmet. The Seahawks throwbacks, which I believe they wore those in like the 80s. Titans brought the Oiler uniforms back, which is kind of a controversy in itself. Some people think those should be Houston's uniforms, the Texans, but no, it's the same franchise. I don't know why people argue about that. For a year,
Titans.
they were literally the Tennessee Oilers.
Yeah, that's like saying the Ravens should use the old Colts. It's not the same franchise at all.
Browns. Some people say that because technically that's the franchise, like that franchise that was the Cleveland moved to Baltimore in 95, 96, and then they reinstated a new Browns team. But that Browns team is the old Brown. It's not the same as any of those situations.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. The Buccaneers brought their old creamsicles back, which honestly might be my favorite. It's like a so bad they're good. Plus, just who doesn't love orange creamsicle? It's like one of the coolest flavors out there. Broncos, they have a new alternative whitish helmet that go along with new orange uniforms, which I think are pretty nice.
Yeah, I think they have the best ones. I don't know. I'm the weakness for their orange and blue scheme.
Yeah, they've always had some of the better jerseys. I mean, looking back at like the old John Elway orange with the blue helmets, like an oldie but a goodie. I don't know why they don't bring those back. Even like during the Peyton Manning era, they had a lot of different jerseys that were nice. Just good colors, nice blend of colors they have, and they've always had good jerseys. Vikings are bringing back the old like 90s era throwbacks. I believe that's when they wore them. Nice. They kind of revamped them a little bit, and they look pretty good. Something seems off about them, though, but I think they look completely fine. Jets have a new, like, whiteout uniform, which I'm not a big fan of their new uniforms to begin with. I think they should bring back the old, like, kind of similar green color to the Eagles throwbacks that they used to wear in, like, the 80s, 90s. I think those would look cool.
They should bring back their 2000s. I think that's their best uniform, like the Mark Sanchez era.
Just look up butt fumble. Those are some of the better.
Yeah.
Horrible situation, but yeah, those like 2010s jerseys, like, I mean, they just classic. Like sometimes you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I understand it's also a merchandise thing. You want new jerseys for more revenue, and it's a cheap kind of thing to do that with. But I don't know. Sometimes you do a little bit of changing. Panthers, they didn't do much. It's still kind of the same colors, but they like enhance them a little bit to fit better. They look okay. Nothing really to write home about. Lions, though, the Lions have a new helmet that it is an old school. It's it's a throwback helmet, but of all the things they could have done, it doesn't work with the uniforms they're gonna wear them with the all grays. It just doesn't work. The coloring it's a little off, and I'm not even saying that as a Bears fan that hate the Lions. I mean, I like Matt Stafford, but it doesn't. I don't think blend well.
It doesn't. That was my first criticism of it. Was just the logo itself. I get it's throwback, but I don't know. Yeah, like it just doesn't match.
Maybe not necessarily make it like the helmet. Put it on like the middle of the field. I think that'd be really cool, and like as like the emblem in the middle of the field, or like on merchandise or something. But it just doesn't fit the jersey type, like because those new grays they wear are like really kind of like not retro, but like new school type feel, and those jerseys, the helmet just doesn't fit the match, to me at least. I mean, I don't know much about art. Like I should
they should have
math art in high school, but
they should have used their 80s, like their 80s, early 90s Lions jerseys. Oh yeah, that would work pretty all right.
Yeah, I mean those. Yeah, I mean the Lions have had some really nice jerseys in the past. I've learned not a lot of people like their black uniforms they used to wear, but I mean they have the right colors to match the black ones that they used to wear.
Honestly, I don't even remember those.
I think they'd only wear them on like Thanksgiving every once in a while. I can picture Matt Stafford in them, but yeah, they didn't wear them that much. But I think revamp them with the new like blue and gray that they wear. I think they could definitely find something to work well with those. But I mean that it's like it's kind of like a lot of these teams that have the right color sets, but in the redesigns they just didn't match it quite well, which kind of leads me to the next one, the Colts. I love that they introduced the black into their jerseys.
They should have. They should have a long time ago. They've been
Agreed.
told
But
fans have wanted black for a long time.
yes.
I mean, they should have used a little more black, but
yeah, 100%. And like I like how they had like the little black like what is it? It's like a black dot, but the dot is like the Indiana logo, if I remember right.
oh yeah. I think that's actually fan made.
That's pretty cool. But like you said, they need more black in the
Yeah,
pants. They don't have black pants with those uniforms. I don't get why they didn't do that. That would be perfect with those. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I like white, but yeah,
it's not a good match, but I mean, I think those have a lot of like, you know, using the Indiana Colts logo with it, the black, the nice helmet, like they have a lot of good things they could use with that, but they just didn't go.
Is there a rule? Is there a rule with making the numbers an alternate color?
I don't know.
Is it strictly white?
That might be because I've been wanting the Bears to bring back their orange number jerseys for the longest time, and they don't, even though those are like some of the best throwbacks they have. So that might be a thing, that they have to be a certain color.
Yeah.
That
I
makes
don't know.
sense why some teams don't do, like, because there could be a lot of cool things they could do, like just thinking of like some teams that are like orange, like a neon orange, like numbers, or like look up the Bears 1920s throwbacks that they used to wear in the 2010s. That's a perfect example of doing old school right. You know, the colored numbers. And I'm not telling you necessarily, I'm telling the fans to look it up, but I mean, you can too.
Well, I'm just looking up different jerseys that I miss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the I don't know what they're called, but like they don't really wear them much anymore, and it's just their regular jerseys, like
Which team?
the Bears, the white with the orange outline.
They switched that up in like what, the mid 2010s, I believe.
Yeah, like I think when Cutler was done, I think those jerseys are perfect, and they don't use them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that had something to do with Nike taking over as the like the maker of all the jerseys, because
I mean, Nike was pretty sure was still making them.
Maybe I don't know, but I know a lot of teams in those kind of that era alternated their uniforms because of like I'm pulling stuff out of me now, but I know that at one point that was a reason a lot of teams switched their jerseys some way.
Like these ones here, I don't know, really good way to do this, but these ones.
Yeah,
those are perfect. I don't know why they ever switched it up, because I think it was one of the best jerseys in the league.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of the old. I mean,
they definitely don't now.
Like when you look at NFL history, like the Bears for the longest time have had the same uniforms. Obviously, you know, they don't have the same ones they used to wear, like, you know, 100 years ago, 80 years ago, but like for the longest time, those were the uniforms for like 50 years.
Yeah.
So
the Colts are about the same, and Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they've obviously, you know, teams have done little things over the years, like, you know, when they went from leather helmets to the helmets now, but you know, it's like, yeah, the teams like Green Bay, that they don't touch a lot, but they add a little bit here and there to like still keep that old school feel, and not enough teams, I think, do that. And I get, you know, trying to mix things up, you know, this is a new time, there's a lot of creative people out there. I think the color rush was a good idea back in, what was that, 2015, 2016, when the NFL did that. I think they did it maybe a little bit in the wrong way, but, you know, I like how some of those teams still kept those color rush jerseys in a way. But there's a lot of different things the NFL can do. Two more jersey changes though. The Browns, they brought a white helmet to go along with their new jerseys that they've been wearing, and the Falcons also changed up their helmets a little bit, as they've over the last couple of years went to a little bit more blackish type design in a lot of their jerseys. I like the Falcons new jerseys that they, what was that, like 2019, 2020 I think, when they added those.
I don't know. I like their old ones. I like all the original jerseys. I like the New York, New Jerseys. Don't like them.
It's funny that New York is actually
Hard.
New Jersey. They play in New Jersey, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, and some of that too is
Arizona's.
like, yeah,
Arizona's
I'm not a fan
horrible.
of Arizona. They kind of look like jerseys we wore in high school, to be honest with you. Which, and I think part of the issue too is that we're used to there's so many teams out there that, like, when you look at college, NFL, like even other professional sports, like most designs aren't new. Like, they look like something we've seen in a different team, like
Well, like the Cardinals, they had perfect jerseys. I used to think they were one of the best jerseys in the league. Not now.
Yeah, and I
especially the black ones. Those are nice.
Yeah, and I get changing stuff up, but you gotta change it the right way, and obviously they didn't, and it's a shame because
that's why the Colts haven't until. Well, they still haven't. That's just the alternate one.
Yeah.
But it's iconic. You can't really change that.
Yeah, and
I'm all right with it.
A lot of teams, they'll, like I said, they'll change a little bit to where they keep the same basis of the uniform. Like, they might, change up. Like, they might go from a light white to like a little bit of a darker white on their stuff. Like, they don't change too much to where it takes away from the original feel. And
well, like Green Bay, they're still using the mesh, aren't they? They're like the only team still using mesh jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works for them. I hate to say it, but
I'd probably rather wear that than a skin tight jersey.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely a lot harder to take off. That's for sure. Especially after a game, but I mean they're used to it. It's their job to wear it. So I don't know. I think for the most part, all these teams bringing back jerseys, changing up jerseys, for the most part, did a really good job of it. I can't wait to see some of these throwback jerseys, though. Hopefully next year the Patriots bring back their old jerseys with like the Patriot on the helmet, like they used to wear all the time. I think those are really cool. I hate to say it with the Patriots, but those are some of the best throwbacks teams ever wore. I don't know why they didn't bring them back this year.
The old Jags jerseys.
Oh yeah, those are kind of like so ugly. They're good though.
They're ugly. Yeah.
Kind of like the Bucks. I don't know. The creamsicle I've always liked. Bucks have had some interesting. I think the Bucks should honestly maybe even bring back their old like 2010 uniforms or mid 2010s that they wore with like I think there's like the little bit of brown in them. I'm just picturing Doug Martin run around people in those old uniforms. I mean, some of these teams have changed uniforms a lot to where those older uniforms that they don't wear anymore, even though they like were new uniforms like 10 years ago, bring them back for a game or two, make them alternative jersey like that.
The real old Jets ones that look like Notre Dame's.
Yeah. I mean, even wear a Notre Dame jersey. Like, they've had some pretty cool jerseys. Like, I guess there's no like Irish teams, but they've always had cool jerseys. Oregon, I don't know, like I mean, I know the NBA has like city edition jerseys. The baseball even has city edition jerseys. They could do that for NFL teams. I mean, I've seen some really cool fan made designs for a lot of different teams to do city edition jerseys, or like mixed teams where like you get like teams that are in the same city as a baseball team or a basketball team where they mesh jerseys. There's a lot of cool designs NFL teams could do. I get it. There's only 18 games to where you can't always, or 17 games. I don't know what I'm talking about. and you don't always have a choice on what you can wear. But mix
It
it
is
up.
kind of crazy though. NFL is the only league that doesn't do that
Yeah.
of major U.S. sports.
I'm not 100% certain of hockey, but I know baseball and basketball have like,
Well, yeah,
yeah. I mean, even like baseball has like holiday jerseys. Like they've had like, I think for I don't know when, but like they've had like for I think Mexican Heritage Month or something they wear
like the
like
Sox.
oh the basketball because I remember like the Los Bulls they used to wear like some I think some like Southwest teams still do that for some of their jerseys, but like we're just seeing like basketball probably does the best in jersey customization, and yeah, they play a lot of games, so it helps that they can wear so many different jerseys. And but like bring these jerseys out for preseason games, even for the NFL. Wear them in. I I doubt you'll see them in playoffs do that, but like yeah, bring them in preseason. Like change it up a little bit. Like not only is that going to look cool, but like if you bring these jerseys back more often, then you have more reason to sell more jerseys, which is the whole reason they
Increases
change.
sales.
Yeah, that's the whole reason. I mean, that's the number one reason teams are changing jerseys up so much is so they bring, it's another stream of revenue. Like, oh, you just bought a Justin Fields jersey? Well, hey, we just changed our jerseys completely. You got to buy another one. Like, that's the whole reason most of these teams do it. So, not only like, hey, we also have it in 4 different sets that you can see us wearing sometimes. Like, it just, as a fan, you're collecting more, you're buying more, so like it's a win-win. It's a win-win for almost every situation except the pocketbook. So I don't know. I think as we see maybe the NFL expand in games played, because new CBA, once that comes around, it seems like they're gonna maybe add another game. So as they add more games, maybe we see them play more games or play with more different jerseys. I don't know, but I think they need to add more jerseys because it's cool. And I mean, even look at it from a Madden perspective, you get more customization on like what you get to wear. Like you can wear like this helmet, like a throwback helmet, Viking helmet with like their, if they wore black jerseys and then you wear like purple, like you can do a lot of different things. Like looking at it from a gaming perspective too. So there's lots of different things they can do. I don't know. That was my little rant.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's all we got for you today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell notification on YouTube. Our social media is always linked down below. Make sure you're checking those out because we're doing a lot of cool different stuff, especially on like TikTok, doing daily posts. So definitely check those out. But yeah, just if you're interested, again, fantasy football, make sure to let us know because we're gonna be starting here before you know it. Probably even the weekend right before this comes out. So definitely check on that. But that's all we have for you today. I'll see y'all later.
See ya.